Excellencies, distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Welcome to this very special event on women leaders in AI and standards. My name is Charlyne Restivo. I serve as program coordinator at ITU Standards Bureau, and I'm also the proud coordinator of my very favorite program, which is the Network of Women in ITUT. Today, we're shining a spotlight on AI standards as part of the International AI Standards Exchange. It made perfect sense to bring together the Network of Women in ITUT with Women in AI, whose chairs are here with us today, bringing two very vibrant communities together, joining forces to advocate for women in leadership in both AI and standards. Joining us today are inspiring leaders from the industry, from government, from academia, but also young voices. Each of them are pushing boundaries and redefining what leadership in standards in an AI look like. Our Secretary General of ITU will join us momentarily, but right now I would like to hand over the floor and invite the chair of the Network of Women in ITUT, who is also a respected industry leader, Dr. Belhassine-Cherif, who is the Chief Innovation and Strategy Officer at Tunisie Telecom. Reem, please join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlyne, for this introduction. Esteemed participants, welcome and thank you all for joining us today. As chair of the Network of Women in ITUT, the network committed to promoting the active participation of women in ITUT standardization activities and leadership roles. I extend my gratitude to our speakers, partners, and participants for coming together to address a critical issue, which is women's participation and leadership in AI standardization. With the rapid emergence of transformative technologies like artificial intelligence, women's leaders in standardization is no longer optional. It's a strategic imperative. AI already impacts the healthcare, finance, and public services, but without diverse voices in setting standards, we risk embedding biases and spreading inequalities. We must move beyond inclusion to influence and impact. Women must not only be present, they must help lead the development of standards that ensure AI is fair, transparent, and safe for all. In ITUT, strong efforts are being made to ensure that standardization supports fair and inclusive technological development with women's leadership at the center. Initiatives like the Network of Women in ITUT, the successful Now for WTSA 24 campaign, and related regional events, as well as surveys, including the recent launched survey on promoting gender equality in ITUT activities earlier this year, have together built strong momentum toward this goal.
Thank you, Dr. Rim, for setting the stage and reminding us why this work matters, especially in the context of AI. You just mentioned an ITUT survey that was launched recently. Could you please outline what was the intent with this survey, the scope, and what are the key findings that you're drawing from that and actions that ITU or other organizations here present can take to advance women's leadership in AI and standards? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlyne, for your question. To support ITUT's commitment to gender equality, a new survey was launched in February 2025 to collect insights on accelerating gender balances across all study groups and leadership roles, especially in preparation for the upcoming WTSA, which is the world preparation of the upcoming WTSA. WTSA is World Telecommunication Standardization Assembly, which serves as the highest decision-making body at ITUT and sets its strategic priorities for the next 4 years. This survey focused on reviewing the Now for WTSA 24 campaign, then identifying challenges to women's participation and exploring ways to strengthen their involvement and leadership in ITUT activities towards WTSA 28. Next one. It is my pleasure to briefly share with you the key findings on this survey. As based on the received responses, we received about 150 responses, and based on these received responses, and as you can see in the slide, women are actively contributing across ITUT's work in all study groups, from study group to TSAG and focus groups, and in a wide range of technical and leadership roles, chair, vice chair, delegate, rapporteur, and editor. According to respondents, enhancing women's representation in ITUT requires joint action at all levels, from hosting dedicated sessions celebrating achievements and contributions to ITUT and launching mentorship programs at ITU level, to providing training, funding, and fair nomination processes within their organizations. Responses also reveals that improving women's leadership in ITUT involves expanding networking opportunities, setting clear targets, and providing mentorship and training at ITU level, while organizations may accelerate and actively develop women leaders through personalized programs and leadership training. As a follow-up to this survey, a call to action was launched, inviting ITUT members to support initiatives that accelerate gender equality across ITUT, including setting targets for women's representation, strengthening the network of women, launching mentorship programs, providing financial support, and celebrating achievements in standardization. As I close this presentation, I want to leave you with this message. Standards shape the future, and they need every voice. Women, your voice is powerful. Your place is right here. This is more than a conversation. It's a call to action. if you haven't joined the network of women yet, now is the time. Together, we go further. Together, we build the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rim, for this powerful message, and you heard the call to actions. Please join us, join forces with us. Now I would like to invite ITU's big boss, who you've seen everywhere this week, truly, and also an inspiring leader, Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin, the Secretary General of ITU, for some welcome remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Reem, for that very passionate speech. And I think you have convinced many in here that were maybe hesitating. Thank you for that and everything you do. Apologies for being a few minutes late, but I'm so happy to be here today because this is actually an important gathering. To be able to bring two inspiring communities together, I think is where we need to move, as you mentioned, Dr. Im, for the future. Of course, one is nurturing women's leadership in standardization, and the other is empowering women across the AI ecosystem. We're joined today by these two communities with Dr. Rim, so thank you again, and the Women in AI community, thank you, Dr. Alessandra. And together, through this effort, we are expanding the space for women to lead in fields where their voices are sorely needed, AI and standards. Today's session is also part of our International AI Standards Exchange that has been organized by the ITU in partnership with ISO and IEC. Together, we've been reflecting on the role of standards in guiding responsible innovation and creating more opportunities for innovation worldwide. I can't think of a better way to move the innovation needle than by highlighting the work of women that are carving out new paths in AI and standardization. Earlier this week, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm mixed up on my days, but we launched a new network of women ministers and leaders in ICT. For those of you, and I think I see some faces that were there, you may remember that it was said in the morning that inclusive leadership is not an add-on. It can't be an add-on. It's actually the foundation for building a digital future that reflects the people that we serve. The women here today, representing academia, industry, parliament, civil society, the technical community, are shaping that future every single day. And I think we're seeing great results even here this week, whether it's on the WISA side or here at AI for Good. But these efforts take sustained support, mentorship, leadership from women and men, and thank you to the men that have joined us today, mentorship and leadership, and a belief that when women lead in standards and AI, it sparks more ideas, drives stronger results, and it helps us make sure that technology works for everyone. When more perspectives help shape our standards, the results respond more closely to the needs on the ground, which not only makes business sense, but it also reflects our shared humanity. I'm especially glad, Roser, to have you also here with us this morning. She's a member of my youth advisory board, and she keeps us moving in the right direction. Thank you for being here all week. It's great to have you here as well today. And I thank all of you in this room. I know it's been a challenging week with so many things, but thanks for being here, because this is really an important gathering. As we look to the future, we need to bring those communities together. We need to support each other. We need to nurture these networks that will then sustain us. And we need to, of course, keep investing in women, mentoring the next generation, and making sure that inclusion shapes the future of artificial intelligence and standards from the inside out. So thank you again for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary General, for this inspiring remarks. I also recall your words from the event you hosted on Wednesday. Inclusive leadership is not optional, it is essential. We know your schedule is very busy, and it means a lot you can be here with us this morning. So now let us move on to our panel discussion. Just a quick note, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session, so please save them for the end. So as we move into our panel discussion, we are joined by a truly exceptional lineup of speakers. I am pleased to call them on stage when the chairs will be set up. So I would like to introduce you first to our moderator, Dr. Paola Cecchi Di Meglio, who is a globally recognized professor, an expert in AI, behavioral science, and leadership, as well as a faculty member at Harvard Law School and Kennedy School of Government. Please join me in welcoming her on stage. And I would also like to call all other panelists to join Dr. Paola on stage for this panel discussion. Thank you.
Your Excellency, you're here. Yeah, I know.
Oh, yes.
No, I'm going to... Yeah.
Oh, it's sending through? Oh.
Just have to sit on the chair properly.
Your Excellency, distinguished panelists, colleagues, and guests, welcome to our conversation on woman leader in AI and standard. I am Paola Cecchi Di Meglio. I'm the faculty chair of the Women Leadership Initiative at Harvard University, where my work over the past 2 decades has focused on harnessing AI and big data to identify systemic barriers and form policy and design intervention that accelerate gender equity and inclusive leadership. As we gather here at a critical moment in global AI development, it is essential to recognize that international standards are among the most powerful tools that we have to shape in AI governance. They offer agile, affordable, and scalable framework. They are complementing legal system and helping countries keep pace with innovation while ensuring AI remain trustworthy and inclusive. But standards are only as strong as the people behind them. And this is why women leadership matters. Inclusive leadership is essential. That means empowering women across generation and sector to shape the system that shape all of us. Our panel today brings together women from diverse global network. Women in AI, network of women in ITUT, women political leader, and the ITU Secretary General Youth Advisory Board. Together, they embody the power of mentorship, intergenerational collaboration, and visible leadership to scale impact and catalyze changes. So for the next few minutes that we have together, I will ask a question to each of the panelists. As the Master of Ceremony mentioned, we will have the opportunity to have some of the questions from the audience, and then we will go on for the concluding remark. So let's begin by hearing from each of our remarkable panelists. And I pose a focused question to each of them, inviting them to share not only their expertise, but also evidence-based insight and real-world strategy and concrete recommendation that each of us can walk away after today's session and start implement.
Okay.
Our first panelist is Honorable Neema Lugangira, who is a member of the Parliament, United Republic of Tanzania, and the Secretary General of Women Political Leader. Honorable Neema, congratulations again on your recent appointment as the Secretary General of Women Political Leader. Let me ask you the following question. From your leadership in politics and this global network that you are part of, what lesson from your journey can inform to increase women leadership in AI and standard development? And I have one more. Ooh. What concrete step should government take to accelerate women meaningful participation and leadership in AI governance?
Thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm Neema Lugangira, Member of Parliament in Tanzania. However, our parliament was dissolved June 27th. We are in election mode. So fingers crossed I'll get back to Parliament. And this again shows the commitment of women leaders, that despite being amidst a campaign, I've tried my best and made an effort to be here in person. In terms of what needs to be done, I think for so long, when we're talking about digital technology and in particular artificial intelligence, parliamentarians have been on the sidelines. However, it is imperative that we are not only part of the discussion, but we also have a key role to play in shaping AI and standards and how they can be formed. And so one of the things that I did as a member of parliament is, number one, when I recognized that there is a gap of parliamentarians' participation, and the sheer development of artificial intelligence and the global discourse between global North and global South countries, in collaboration with the IPU, the Inter-Parliamentary Union, last year, October 2024, the IPU adopted an IPU artificial intelligence resolution. And this is a resolution that is focusing on the impacts of AI on democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. And I was the co-rapporteur of that. So that's one example, as parliamentarians, what our role can be towards pushing for standardizations. But then secondly, if we want to have ethical and inclusive AI standards, we as parliamentarians have to be capacitated. We need to know what is AI. We need to know the opportunities and the challenges. We need to understand it so that we can know how to best regulate it. So in collaboration with the women political leaders, with partnership of GIZ and Smart Africa, this year we launched the Fem AI Lab. It's a global initiative that is focusing on capacitating women political leaders, particularly parliamentarians, on artificial intelligence, to understand it, to appreciate it, so that we can then be able to advise our national governments on what can we do about making this AI safe and harness the opportunities. So that's a second issue. But then finally, obviously being mindful of time, is that governments need to have national AI policies or strategies in place. For so long, the digital sector has been left ungoverned, unlike other sectors where there are policies in place, there's legislation in place, there's even taxation in place. But for years, or decades rather, the digital sector has been left to go about its business on its own. But we've all come to learn of the fact that much as artificial intelligence has got great benefits, it also has really, really, really big challenges and issues if not used ethically.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for those wonderful remarks. Oh, important. Shaping AI and national policy go hand to hand. Now, Alexandra, the next panelist is Alexandra Salah, who is the president of Women in AI, the senior director of AI and data science at Shutterstock, and the chair in AI multimedia standard collaboration. Alexandra, I'm going to ask you a threefold question again, and be mindful of the time, so thank you for that. Why is it essential for women to take on leadership role in AI and standard development? As well as what is the most compelling evidence you have seen that women leadership in this area drive innovation? And finally, how can global network like Women in AI and ITU network of women collaborate to scale impact? And I know I'm asking every panelist to do the impossible in 3 minutes to bring the most important part of the conversation.
Big question, but I'm fortunate to come after such a powerful remark. They showcase why women are needed, because they understand that even bringing knowledge into the government, regulator, policymaker, is what helps to make a difference in this world where this technology is developed by few, and it works well only on a minority, on a very small minority of our world. Why is used and tested on all of us, and on many of us, it doesn't provide us the same outcome. It doesn't provide us the same result. It doesn't provide us the same opportunities. And therefore, regulator, an amazing leader like we have here on our panel, are helping us to drive this agenda forward. And we have seen, even in the latest World Economic Forum report, that when you have women leadership, you have 48% higher return on investment in those companies. It's simple economics. I'm not talking about diversity or equality. It's economics. And those companies, they all want to make profit. I'm offering just an easy path to make better profit. And finally, this collaboration is very important because we need to work at every level. Women in AI work at grassroots. We teach AI to women coming from different backgrounds, with the need of AI at different level of technicalities. Not everyone wants to code, but all of us want to know how to use this technology and make sure that when we use this technology, we understand whether it may discriminate or it may provide outcome and output that do not really apply to the situation that is intended for. So we want to be expert user. And on the other side, network like ITU and the Women in Standard, we need more women that are bringing that leadership into the standard development, because standard development inform policies around the world, and policies are one of those few things that has an impact on society at large.
Alexandra, thank you so much for such a thoughtful follow-up of Her Excellency. Now we have Professor Salma Abbasi, who is the founder and the chairperson and CEO of E-Worldwide Group. The question I have for you is, drawing on your experience across government and global initiative, what should be the top priority for building ecosystem that meaningfully engage women and youth in AI and governance and standard? And what concrete step can an international organization take to build lasting leadership pipeline for young women?
Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you all for coming, and thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be with such an esteemed, knowledgeable panel. Basically, I'm an engineer, and I think that I have started my career in the 80s with standards, actually with the IEEE standards on how to design ASIC chips. So when you ask me about this question, and I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to stand up. I'm slipping off my chair, so it's easier. don't want to fall while I'm talking. One of the most important things for me to build the ecosystem is to start at every level. As Madam has said, from a parliamentarian point of view, we need to start in schools by explaining to the young girls what is coding, why does your voice matter, and what is your context. Whether you're from Asia, Africa, the Caribbean, it doesn't matter, but you are touching the AI world. The digital economy will thrive on your data. So understanding how your data is being used is a must, number one, at all levels. Then you bring in that same ecosystem, the universities. I teach at 5 universities around the world, ethical AI and AI for SDGs. Understand what this data does and what it doesn't do. Very important. Human has to be in the middle and the decisions must be made by you. I'm advocating in standards that there's always a final process where a person makes a decision, whether it's health, flying an airplane, or weaponizing AI, as we discussed on the opening day. That's the second layer in university. The third level is industries. So when we work in industries, and for myself, working on ASIC chip design, I worked on the MIL standards 38510. It's a very old standard. It's packaging standard, so your chips don't get hot. As you carry your laptop, use your mobile, sometimes your hands burn. My recommendation on the standard formulation is, again, boys and girls need to understand that standards aren't just a piece of paper. What do they actually do? If anybody's come to Switzerland from England, you might notice the plugs are different. I don't know how many, I bought the wrong adapter, 2 circular ones, instead of the 3-pin one. That's where standards help. So in our daily lives of compatibility, believe me, we need standards. So we need the practical views and voices of women who are living day to day to say, wait a minute, where's the standard? When we talk about the green economy and the planet, I'm all about people, planet, and technology for humanity. So those standards must come together where we're looking at the environmental context. Now, I made a video yesterday about AI, and I'm saying that AI can be very good, but it can also be very bad. So everything must be looked at the pros and the cons. So when we bring young people into the loop, they present their views. I just saw a pioneer, a dear friend of mine, Charlyne, started the movement for getting women on the table and their voices heard. What we need to do is we need to collaborate, bring in the young voices into the standard process, and with organizations like the IEEE, the ISO and others, we need to make it simpler. Not too much paper, just tell me when to stop. So, one second.
May I kindly remind you to keep your remark?
One
more.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
The last thing I'd like to say, in what the governments and what the private sector do, as my colleague said, and you took my numbers, these are open numbers. When women involved, I'm a businesswoman, when I'm involved in a company, we make money, we help others make money. Our views, our holistic view of opportunity is very different from men. And it's scientifically proven and documented by private consultants and the World Bank and the OECD and the World Economic Forum that diversity, women and different people from around the world make a big impact in your business. So if you want to make money, which they all do, please include us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The next panelist is Kathleen Kramer, who is the president and the CEO of the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Kathleen, my question for you is, there are many standard development organizations that have made progress in increasing women leadership. And building on this momentum, how can SDO, like your organization and ITU, ensure that women are leading, not just participating in shaping the future of AI? And what are successful models or initiatives that you have seen that we can use and be scale and replicate?
Okay, well, there's a lot in that question. And so we very commonly say that we're IEEE. And that's because when you say all the names, we've been around for 140 years, which is 20 years younger than ITU, because they date back to the telegram. But communication has been a key part of our fields of interest, but so has computing. And so we have about 1/3 computing. And Standards is about 12% of our organization, so we're 500,000 people in 190 countries. And so Standards has been a role model for the rest of these 500,000 people. So we have thousands of Standards volunteers that are working together. As a woman, I would say that the fields of IEEE, whether it's power, communication, computing, we have the fewest women statistically, when you're allowed to measure. we have the fewest women of all technical fields. And for myself, I think that very little has been gained in terms of explaining to young girls how they're not expected to be part of that they need to overcome being so unexpected, and that it's better to just expect it. And so for myself, that's very much what I've done. And my advice in general, particularly in technical standards, is frankly, the more outnumbered the women are, that's probably the more likely the community that you need to get yourself integrated in. I've built myself, at this point in my career, I have a hard time giving the elevator speech about which is my community within the very large technical community, and we'll say we're advancing technology for humanity. But that involves literally thousands of disparate technical communities, and we have, I believe, over 2,000 active standards right now, and each of them has their own community. And so if you want to be successful and a leader, you need to have the well-earned confidence of really knowing your stuff. And it doesn't just come from being welcomed in because you're underrepresented. It comes, you have to expect, I was mentioning this to somebody earlier today, that in my field, it comes up about once a week where people will ask me where I went to school. Caltech, by the way. And for men in my field, they can't remember the last time in 20 years that they were asked. And so you want to have a good answer if you are an unexpected person. People might let you in one day because, we really need some of these, the First Nations, for example. We really need more people from First Nations. They'll let you in once, but they won't let you rise above them. So you want to have well-earned confidence that comes from building up your esteemed membership in many technical communities, and the featuring. I will sell IEEE's structured and meaningful collaboration.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. I really appreciate the importance of confidence and knowing and owning your identity is something essential. Our next speaker is Ms. Selena Lee, who is the CEO and co-founder of Zindi. So let me ask you the following question. As a founder of Africa's first data science competition platform, what concrete step can government and investors take to support women AI startup? And particularly, I will say, on the development of AI and ML challenges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm Selena, CEO and co-founder of Zindi. If it's okay, I want to start with a little story. Someone who's front of mind for me right now in this discussion is a young woman, I'll call her Mary, who's a data scientist in Nigeria. And we saw her moving up, a couple years ago, we saw her moving up the leaderboards on Zindi. And when we reached out to her, we found out that she was actually a petroleum engineer who had worked in the field for about 7 years. But when she had her kids, she had 2 kids, she took about 5 years off raising her kids, and around then when she found Zindi, she was getting ready to start to get back into the market. She discovered data science, and she said from there on, it was her calling. It was her home. Zindi was her home, and data science was her calling. She was incredible. She was winning competitions. She was mentoring other women on the platform, but this is the thing. she even got a full scholarship. During that time, she got a full scholarship to go to Notre Dame University to pursue her master's degree. But because she's a mom, because of the financial implications, even with the scholarship, she decided to decline. Then a few months later, she reached out to me because she was having massive imposter syndrome while she was applying for this job as a data scientist. And it would have been her first job as a data scientist. And I tried to, talk her through and kind of encourage her. But, I would say the story doesn't have necessarily a happy ending, but it's an important ending, right? She's right now working as a consultant, as an independent consultant, as a data scientist, still doing the things she loves, but in a way that has worked for her in her life. And I think the thing is that the thing to realize or understand as we're thinking about what can policymakers do, what can investors do, it's really that women in this field have a nuanced reality, a different reality that maybe not everyone in those positions of power, those positions of decision-making fully understand and, have internalized. I love what you guys have said, that it makes business sense. Women make up just over half of the world's population, which means that we will make up just over half of the world's users of AI solutions. So why do we make up only 10 to 15% of the builders of the AI solutions? So it makes business sense. So we need to make space for women at the table at all levels. And so I think in terms of what we can do, it's that it takes this sensitivity. Just one last thing is that my co-founder and I, we are women in AI. We're both women in AI. And we have 28% women representation on the platform. Our goal is to get to 50%. But it's to say that I think that we've approached the work that we do at Zindi. We have a community of 90,000 data scientists and AI developers on the platform. We've run over 400 AI challenges on the platform over the last years. These can do anything from tackling climate change to logistics to health. So we've approached this company of Zindi with a certain sensitivity, and I think that's allowed us to just naturally open doors for women. So I'd say that the thing that we need to do is be thoughtful, mindful, more conscious of making sure that there are women represented at every level of the whole value chain of AI.
Thank you so much, Selena. Very important message. And now, our last but not least panelist, Rother Almenar, who is a member of the ITU Secretary General Youth Advisory Board and a PhD candidate in AI and space law at the University of Valencia. Rother, my question to you is, as a member of the ITU Youth Advisory Board, how this initiative supported your development as a young woman in the AI space, and what practical measure can be taken to better connect with youth?
Thank you. Thank you, Paola, and thank you also to Charlyne for the kind invitation to join this panel with esteemed and admirable women that I aspire to be like you in the future. Actually, the answer to the first question is quite simple, and this is a clear example. By giving the opportunity to be in panels like this, to give us a voice, and as I like to say, speaking up redefines leadership. Therefore, one aspect, and also in my capacity as a youth advisor to Madam Secretary General, would be that I've significantly contributed to ITU, but by speaking up in these sort of events, but also throughout the whole organization. As a PhD candidate in AI law, I get to work directly with ITU colleagues. I get to provide inputs from both my expertise, but also as a young woman working on AI daily. And I think that's an opportunity that many other organizations and governments should also implement. So answering to your second question about practical measures, I would advise having youth constituencies, but also having some capacity building initiatives funded that can uplift the young women leaders and give them also a platform to express their ideas and to participate in meaningful forums like this one.
Thank you so much. As you have the mic, I will ask, and we will move back. So as you all know, depending on the order of participants, you don't get the same answer. So I will stay with you. concluding thought, 30-second elevator speech. If you could recommend one concrete action that government, company, or international organization should take by the next AI for Good Summit to advance women leadership in AI and standard, what would it be and why?
Funding opportunities for young women. So in ITU this year, there was ITU 160 gender champions. And I think that is a great way of having young women leaders contributing to these sort of events and also benefiting from these sort of events. So then when they come back to the local communities, they can also transmit the knowledge that they have learned. So I would advise for more funded programs, for more capacity building initiatives, as I mentioned, and even mentorship programs like Madam Secretary General said, and also as it was showcased previously, that is already happening in ITUT.
Thank you very much. Celine?
I'll also turn this into a bit of a call to action. I think I've explained what Zindi does. We've run a few challenges that were specifically in support of the women on our platform. So, dedicated prizes, topics that we find that the women on the platform are engaging more on, which, by the way, are more the mathematical and statistical challenges. So I would say if anyone's interested in partnering with us, supporting an initiative like this, we'd like to do much more. So feel free to come and speak with me after this.
Thank you. Kathleen?
In general, my recommendation to everyone is to learn something hard and to learn how to learn something hard. And so any programs that we do, such as the ones that were just mentioned with competitions that have a meaningful output or building meaningful skills, but learning how to learn something hard requires also learning how to fail and succeed again. So too many STEM programs that are intended to help younger than our youth representative are designed to inculcate wonder and interest, but it takes more than wonder and interest.
Thank you. Failure is
Excellent.
very important.
Very good. I totally echo what you were saying. I think that there's two quick recommendations in 30 seconds. The first one is from the Women in Technology Leaders Breakfast with ministers that we had. We identified the 160 winners, or the champions from that. We need to track them for quarter to quarter to quarter, so that next year we can see what they did. Second one is all of us here that are from the private sector or business or telecom, we need to mentor young girls in our sector and showcase what we've done with them, how AI has helped our industry, because AI transcends every sector. So whatever the young ladies, young girls' interest is, we will find fashion, electricity, telecom, anything, medicine. So let's show them the diversity of AI and STEM, because you can't do one without the other. We need science. So it's STI, science, technology, and innovation, and bring the girls on board. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Wow. I'll go on fundings. Things change when we put money behind our dreams. I know many women who are freelancers who cannot participate in standard groups like I can, because I get paid, I have my salary, I go to standard meeting, my trip is paid, my hotel is paid, my meals are paid. Freelancers cannot participate. And we need women, and we need independent voices. So freelancers are there to grab. So when big companies send men, let's ask them to contribute to funds, and those funds are reallocated to independent women that can bring a different perspective, non-paid, on an agenda of a specific company, and possibly bring diversity.
Very good.
Thank you.
Actually, what I wanted to contribute is exactly aligned to what Madam Alexandra just mentioned. One of my biggest asks is to always make sure in these conversations we have parliamentarians. If you look at throughout this AI for Good summit, and you ask for the number of parliamentarians here, it is almost very, very minimal. Why? Biggest issue is the travel support. Biggest issue is the funding, particularly those of us who are coming from the Global South. But as we all know, everything that we are discussing is inevitable. You have to have the parliamentarians in there, because we are the ones who have the mandate of the policies, legislation, and also holding governments accountable, etc. I'm very pleased that, and there's a huge gap. For example, us on the African continent, we've set up the African Parliamentary Network on Internet Governance, and as parliamentarians, we're always willing to even go in our own pockets to making sure that we are here. But it's not possible for many of us to do that, and I would like to recognize my colleague, Honorable Amira from Egypt. She's here as well with us. You could just stand so they can see you. So this is a good example, and this is something that as women, we are able to do because it's our passion, and we want to make sure that our voice is here. My biggest ask is we need minimum global acceptable standards on AI. This is something women political leaders in partnership with the African Parliamentary Network on Internet Governance, ITU and IPU are trying to work on, is to see, can we have minimum global acceptable standards on AI so that wherever the private sector is operating, they can stick to minimum level of AI standards. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That, I think the minimum standard is something essential. Please, let's thank all the panelists for their thoughtful question, and we're going to open the floor to the audience for asking them questions. So I will, as I am the one with a bad role, asking to state your name, affiliation, and make sure that there is a question tag at the end of your question for one of the panelists. And please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Can we have the mic up there? Thank you.
Hi. So my name is Chennai. I'm from the Africa Center for Economic Justice. And I was wondering whether we need to take this conversation beyond it being a good idea, a good return on investment, and actually a skills gap. So we have other sectors, like the healthcare sector, that are more inviting in identifying skills gaps. So there's more women. But if we can actually identify that diversity of thought in so far as AI creation is concerned is a skill, and not having women or other minority groups as part of the AI creation table is a skills gap. And if we can then move beyond that to say to the companies using large language models, display for us your inclusive characteristics on the AI creation table.
Thank you very much. So your question is asking company and government to make sure that there is a standard for all
diversity of thought
and diversity of thought behind it.
And not having women on the table should be a skills gap.
Thank you.
Can we lobby for this, please? Thank you.
Who want to take the question in?
I can give you a quick answer. First of all, fantastic point. This morning there was an African session on Africa and AI, and the UN Special Envoy to the Secretary General, Amaddeep Gill, was there. And what was identified that in every country there should be a minimum percentage, a baseline of AI skills in every country in Africa. Just this morning they all agreed that that's what we need to do. So your question is bang on.
Thank you. Let me ask the woman over there. Thank you. And then we will pass to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Karine. I'm from UNICEF. My question is to IEEE, the president. And it's really about the remark you made about not enough women coming up. And what are you doing, or what can we do for girls from the age of 2, 3, 4, 5 to build them up so that 20 years from now they are in our seats and doing better than we're doing at the moment?
Well, hello? Oh, yeah, sorry. So that's a big question. So I have, as president, I have 5 priorities, but one of them is called One IEEE for Education. And I have a magazine article or a journal article this month that appears in Spectrum. And you can take a look at it there. And I'm not dealing with 3 to 5 only, but the whole point is that when you have 500,000 people, we need to work strategically for education in a way that's never been done before. And so I don't have a good answer for you on 3 to 5 year olds. I do have a task force working right now coming up with new programs.
Can I add to that? Yeah. Can I add a quick one? I don't know about 3 years old, but as I said, if we can simplify the processes and show children what they're for, the practical use, we will get them interested and curious about what is the standard, what is the policy, why do we need it? They need to know what these things are in baby language.
We have Her Excellency.
I just wanted to quickly add on that. I think one of the most important things is that digital literacy. Most developing countries, particularly on the African continent, youth see a laptop for the first time when they go to university. So if we want to, if we're talking about AI, that's even a much higher step. We need to just look at the basic first. The accessibility of digital literacy, but the computers themselves. Then you have to have meaningful connectivity, cost of the data, etc. But I would like to commend UNICEF. You have the GIGA project, which is a project that is trying to map out in many countries to see other schools connected, other schools not connected. But then once that's done, we need funding. So I think the most important thing is to connect the schools, to make sure that our kids at least have basic knowledge. Then you can get them to AI. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Meghna. My affiliation is the Georgia Institute of Technology, and my question is related to AI governance. There's one comment which was made, which was along the lines of digital companies have been left unchecked by government regulation. And I think that, to my knowledge, there may have been efforts to govern digital and technology companies, but that they might have been ineffective because there seems to be this constant struggle between the two entities of the regulation side and then also the profit-making corporations. And my question is there any way that when governing AI, we can work with these companies to build a desired future towards equality and towards a just future, instead of somewhat working against them? Is that a possible optimistic avenue of collaboration, cooperation, or is that maybe too idealistic? Thank you.
Alexandra.
I love your question, so I want to address it very directly. There are many open source platforms where we can contribute. We don't need to be invited from those big companies that have a specific agenda. We can bring our idea to standardization group. We can bring our ideas through competition and international challenge to the eyes of many, and we can contribute to open source project and showcase that what they say it's not possible. We got a solution for you. So stop saying that, oh, we cannot do this governance because it's too difficult. That's the way you do it. So let's engage. Let's show those big companies that we have an alternative for governance. It's practical, it's simple, and it's cost effective.
I'd like to add to that. Yesterday, we had a program or a third workshop on misinformation, disinformation, and hate. Your question is beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and bang on at this forum. The governance of AI in tech giants is not possible. Not possible. I will argue with anybody here that you can govern a $1 trillion company. If we can't stop deep fake images, and a platform tells us, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to do this, when they have the best AI experts in the world, we're in trouble. But at these kind of forums, under the leadership of Doreen, we have had the first discussions of AI for bad, and what are we going to do about it? What we need to do is collectively get our voices together, have our data. Yesterday, we launched a report, 75 global cases, 91% of those 75 committed suicide or killed people. They were young, under the age of 20, from social media and toxic gaming platforms. So as we collaborate as researchers globally, engaging young people on their lived experiences, we are getting empirical data to drive this change with accountability and a duty of care. But it will only happen through this global collaboration where our collective voices and research data will be able to show that this is a problem and you will be penalized. Unless there is consequences, they will just keep saying, sorry, sorry, sorry. That's a danger.
Thank you. I would like to have the last word for our youth and bringing all in energy and optimism of the future.
Thank you. And I also wanted to thank you again for such an interesting question. I do not belong to the private sector, so maybe my view is too optimistic or not, we will see. But in my experience and the way that I see it, it's actually very difficult and to make companies understand that innovation and regulation do not have to go against each other. And that, unfortunately, it's how it is seen at the moment. So I also do a space, and I have had some experience with the space sector. And your question made me think that sometimes when in space we want to regulate something new that never happened before, instead of trying to come up with a regulatory approach, which usually is seen as a more of an intrusive way of approaching it, we opt for different ways of solving the issue, like best practices, recommendations, maybe even standards. So it is up to these companies to decide whether they implement them or not. It's not that we impose them to do it, but we show them the benefits of acting collectively and following these best practices and these standards, so we can all together have more or less the same impact, but from a more horizontal perspective.
Thank you so much. And I know I'm conscious about the most valuable resource we have on Earth, which is time. So I want to thank all of you to be here. But before we leave, I want to tell you just one last thought. We are the architect of the future. And that is something that is essential for all of us to remind ourselves on a daily basis. And so if I have 1 minute of your time, I will call on government and company to act with intention and foresight to dismantle systemic barrier and to make sure that we invest meaningfully in women advancement and we embed inclusive leadership in shaping AI and international standard, because the future is being written now and we can write it together. So thank you so much for your time.
Bravo.